philosophy of foundation. So we know what is the injustice that will take place in the society, how unjust, unequal, or rather unequal the systems are, how discriminatory the society is. So that's the platform where we sit in. So we don't want to, having seen that society in such a situation or such a shape, the ICAF thinks what little can it do to make it a better society, to make it a just society. So it is determined to make it a just society. Don't the ICAF, the person, anyone who has come into contact with ICAF will leave his mark in history and make the society a better society without being just spending his life, as a new spectator as what has happened. The ICAF is not a new spectator in society, but he actively, or he or she is actively involved in the building up of a just society. That is actually the true Christian value, build up of a true society based on the gospel values. And that is actually the real meaning of kingdom of God. Kingdom of God is actually the heaven that is up in the sky. Yes, it's actually a state of life whether you have, you are in the company of God who is justice, who is truth, who is love. So love, justice, and truth are the characteristics of a kingdom of God. So ICAFers participate in these values of the kingdom of God. Love, truth, and justice. By being critical and creative. See, there are certain people who are simply critical only and just doesn't do anything. ICAF doesn't believe in that methodology. Yes, it is critical, but at the same time it is creative also, because it is committed to bring a new social order based on the gospel values of truth, justice, and love. So he believes in developing all people into a whole man. He should be a complete human being wherein he realizes his worth as one created by God, as everyone is, and therefore being a child of God, as any other child of God. This created human being also is entitled to the same type of a treatment of equality, dignity, liberty, justice, love, equitable treatment, and all these beautiful gospel values. So ICAF essentially engages in building the kingdom of God here on earth. It doesn't simply believe in the kingdom of God, we call it Surga or Moksha or heaven.
Just pass on. No. The ICAF starts building it here on earth and continues to that state of heaven. Well, my association with ICAF was in the early 70s, where I learned this expression, sensitization, and ICAF gave a new terminology, or rather new coinage. It is conscientization, becoming aware, critically aware of the society in which that you live. And having become critically aware of the society and having seen what is unjust in the true order in society, then you start thinking creatively as to how best you can do something to make a just order in society, or rather to build a just society. Maybe it is in your village, maybe it is in your ward in the panchayat, maybe it is in your panchayat, maybe in your office, maybe in your court, maybe in your parish, maybe in your organization, anywhere, wherever you are planted, you are to blossom. You are to blossom and help others to blossom, so that there is a blossomed society. There is none who is not able to blossom. There is none who cannot blossom. Everybody is helped to blossom. This is how the ICAF engages itself in building up a just society. Well, what did we do as an ICAF? When I entered ICAF, what did we do? I'll share a bit of my ICAF experience. I had an initiation probably when I was in the +2, in the sense pre-degree at that time. Then I became actively involved in my degree college it was a Hindu college, Sri Shankara College, Kaladi, where we had one of the best ICAF units. We used to meet on every Friday, because Friday we had a long interval, lunch interval. We used to have our all Friday meetings of ICAF. And then we used to have what they call the work camps. Yes, the work camps that the NSS has taken up thereafter is actually what the ICAF originally started. I remember to have participated in work camps in building a small hut, repairing small houses, and the other thing ICAF had prior to that was, the leadership camps, to make you a true leader. A true leader is one who should have a solid knowledge and a solid basis of the information regarding the society you live in, and you should have a clean character. Unless you have a clear mind and a clean character, you will not be in a position to engage yourself in building up of a just society. Because society is unjust, because there are people who are with unclean character, who are corrupt, who are communal in approach, who are casteistic in approach, and who are selfish in their lifestyle. And so many things. So if you are not able yourself to be a person free from all these vices which we generally in society, you will not be in a position to engage yourself in providing just order. So we had self-awareness camps. So making these self-awareness camps, we used to study about society, about the inequalities in society, about the unjust order in society, so that you become critically aware of the role you can play in your own old world, your own world. You may not be in a position to play a national role, but you may be able to play a world around you, a critical role around you, and make a new world in the world around you where you live. That's why certainly your workplace, your parish, your village, your ward, the organization which you are part of, everywhere. So anywhere where you are, you become a light, a source of light for others to see a new society, a man with ideas, a man with the vision and the mission creating. So that was the self-awareness camps, and then we went for work camps. Then we undertook certain projects also. I remember one project which we worked, that Beach Blossom project in Calicut, where Father Dominic George is no more. We in fact conducted the in-depth study among those what they call fishermen community who were living on the beach. We had a survey. We have spent several hours. We had another project where living experience. where people, the ICAPers went and stayed with this small people, people without a proper house also, people without a place to sleep also. So they were identifying themselves with them, and then becoming aware of the real pains and pathos of the common man on the street, or the poor person who is on the periphery, to take this word of Pope Francis, periphery. So living with those people in the periphery for a week or 2 months, I know people who stayed even for a month with those people, sharing the pathos and sharing the pains and living the same lifestyle for a month. People did not have a toilet. People were using the common toilet of the open land, etc. They were wonderful experiences. I also remember to be part of another project in Toronto, which is called Punder Project. Again, that was one organized, one undertaken by Father Paul Valiakandath. He is also no more. He was a long time chaplain for the ICAP there. He is also no more, and that is again a project in the fishermen, among the fishermen community. So there have been several such projects, work camps, and the self-awareness programs, leadership camps, etc. So once you become conscious or aware or sensitized or conscientized about the society in which you live, and the problems the society face, and the role that you can play in what we call in bringing up some solutions for the problems in society. That's what ICAP has been doing, being critical and being creative and involving yourself in society, not in your theoretical approaches only, but at your actual involvement in society, building up of a kingdom of God here on earth. This was my ICAP experience. So I was an ordinary ICAPer, then I was the regional secretary in my region. Then thereafter I was a senior leader. Even now I am associated with a forum called All ICAPers Forum. So I have a passion for ICAP because ICAP gave me a lot of inputs and lot of built in me a lot of true leadership qualities in my relation with society. Made me a true human being in the true path of Jesus Christ. A true Christian is a true human being. This is what I learned from ICAF. So if you're a true Christian, you have to be a true human being. And if you have to be a true human being, you have to be human in your approach, in your attitude, and in your involvement in building up a society. I hope this will suffice you for the purpose of a background of what ICAF is and what ICAF could be, and what an ICAFer can be in being involved in this ICAF activities. So I remember in my college, this is my last what they call observation on my ICAF experience. In the college where I studied, all the best people were from ICAF. The best sports person, the best speaker, the best leaders, the best whatnot. In art, culture, sports, all leaders were from ICAF, because ICAF formed them to be true leaders. So forming true leaders is also a need of the hour, so that they will thereafter transform the society. So information, formation, and transformation. This has been the mission. You inform them, sensitize them, you form them, you make them, you conscientize them, or make them aware of the critical society, and make them committed to the gospel values in building up of a just society, and then you help them to transform the society in their own respective sphere. This is what my experience is. Now coming to the topic of the day, where you want to discuss constitution and human rights. The human rights are inherent, inalienable, indivisible. These are the three basic qualities about the human rights. These are not conferred by somebody. These are there inherent in every human being. That's why it is called a human right. The moment you are born as a human being in society, you are entitled to certain human rights. And those rights are justice, equality, liberty, life, and dignity. Rather, life, equality, justice, and dignity, we can call it like that. These are the basic human rights. And as far as India is concerned, the human rights have been, it's one of its constitutional values as well. So, though we enacted proper legislation only in 1993, there were human rights protection movements in the country, because India is a signatory to all the UN conventions on human rights. Therefore, we had a new legislation in 1993. It was notified on 8th January 1994, but the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993, where human rights means the right to relation to life, liberty, equality, and dignity of individual. As life, liberty, equality, and dignity. Life, liberty, equality, and dignity. Let me make it four only. Let me go by the statutory definition. Life, liberty, equality, and dignity. So these are the human rights as we have defined under the Human Rights Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. And these are defined with the constitutional values and those constitutional rights, and those rights as provided under the UN charters also. So when I say constitutional rights, naturally I'll have to take you to the Constitution. In our Constitution of India starts with the word we. We, the people of India. It is our constitution. We made to ourselves. It's not somebody made and gave it to us. We made this constitution because we wanted to constitute a nation called Bharat, India, because it needed to be constituted because it was not a country. It was what they call a union of so many. As you know, in Kannada, you are Mysore, you have so many, what they call independent states, and the dynasties ruling the country. In Kerala, we had a Travancore. There was a king in Travancore. Then there was one in Kochi. We got Maharaja. As we have Maharaja of Mysore, we have. There's so many such little states or kingdoms, and India constituted itself into a great country by this constitution. We, the people of India, having resolved to constitute India into. So, how did we constitute? We ensured, or rather assured to everybody that you become part of a great country. All your rights will be protected. All your privileges will be protected, and irrespective of the language, the place, the caste, the creed, the religion, you will have space for everything, and we can be part of a great country. That's how India came into a great nation. So we, the people of India, having resolved ourselves to constitute India into, now we have 5 foundation stones. India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. These are the 5 foundation stones on which this country is built. And on these 5 foundation stones, it is secured to all the citizens. Then it is built up on a few pillars and a sub-pillars. I'll just come to that. But let me tell you something about sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. 5 aspects. Sovereign means we are not under anybody. We are governed by ourselves. Nobody governs us. No, we are not answerable to anybody. We are not under any colonial power. We won't once before any colonial power. We have our own independence and sovereignty and integrity. That's very important for the country. Then socialist. Socialist again is a economic aspect of the governance in the country. It is need to be understood that it is not a capitalist. It is socialist in its approach. It's an economic policy. Then republic. Republic means a country where we have a written constitution, and this country's top executive is a person elected by the people. The President of India is the top executive. The Supreme Executive is the President of India. It is elected by the people of the country. We don't participate directly in the President's election because we elect MLAs and MPs. They elect the President of India. That is the process. So and anybody, you and me, can become the President of India provided we are qualified to be elected as a member of the Parliament. This is only qualification required. Anybody, any citizen of this country can become the President of India, where only qualification is that you need to be qualified to be elected as a member of the Parliament. So that is republic. Then we have two more foundation stones. So sovereign, socialist, republic I have covered. Then we have two more aspects. One aspect is democratic, the other is secular. So what is democratic? Democracy, as we all know, it is a government, it's a system whereby the people have their own government, and this government of the people, for the people, and by the people. That is democracy. Well, I want you to understand democracy in a different way. That as a citizen of a democratic country, you have a space to occupy, and you have a voice to raise. So nobody can deny your space in the country. It's all protected by the Constitution. Under Article 19, it is protected. Then you have a voice. Again, it is protected under Article 9. It's a fundamental right. You have a voice. You cannot. Nobody can suppress your voice. You have your freedom of speech and expression. That the other one is freedom of association, freedom to reside anywhere in any part of this country. So you have a space and a voice. This is democracy. So nobody can silence you. Nobody can suppress you. You have every free liberty, every right to express your views on any aspect provided. It doesn't hurt anybody. That's why hate speech is prohibited, because it hurts somebody. So long as it doesn't hurt anybody's sentiments, you have a right to express your dissent, your voice. You have a freedom to have a free speech. This is democracy. So in democracy, the greatest democratic value is that you have a right to raise your voice, and that you have a space as anybody else. It makes no difference as to whether you are small, you are black, you are white, you are subcaste, this caste, that caste. No, it makes no difference at all. Everybody is equal in this country, and in a democratic country, everybody has the same voice. No, not that somebody has a very louder voice or a more powerful voice, your voice is less powerful. No, everybody has the same voice. That is democracy. Then comes the last foundation stone on which I said I'll talk to you, that is secularism. Secularism simply means the country does not have an official religion. That's the plain meaning of secularism. But Indian secularism is little more than that. It does not mean that it does not have an official religion, but it recognizes the role the religion can play in making a person a better human being and a citizen a more responsible citizen. So if a religion can play a role in making a person a better human being and more responsible citizen, then that is the value that India recognized, and therefore India welcomed all religions to this country, despite the fact that it is majority are Hindus. But Hinduism is such a beautiful religion rather beautiful concept where it welcomes truth from all sources. It does not say no to any source of light. That is the beauty of the Hinduism as a belief. The people welcomed all. That's why Islam was welcomed by the Hindus only. Christianity was welcomed by the Hindus only. Parsi, they were welcomed by the Hindus only. They permitted Sikhism to be born. They permitted Buddhism to be born. They permitted Jainism to be born. So this country welcomes all religions, and this country respects all religions, and this country gives a fundamental right to all citizens either to believe in a religion or not to believe in a religion. And if you believe in a religion, you can profess it, you can practice it, you can propagate it. This is actually the beauty of Indian secularism. There is no other country in the world with this much of secular concept, in the sense, it recognizes the role the religion can play in molding the character of a person and making a citizen a better, a more responsible citizen. That is one thing. It has welcomed all religions. It has given the freedom to the citizens to take any religion. So you can practice, and today I can be a Christian. Tomorrow, if my conscience permits, I can be a non-believer. Tomorrow I can be Hindu. Day after tomorrow I can be Islam follower. Yes, Parsi, Sikh, whatever it is, Buddhist, Jainist. Provided it is your own conscious choice. It cannot be under the threat of anybody. It cannot be under the influence of anybody. It should be your independent and conscious choice. So long as it is your independent and conscious choice, nobody can prevent you in getting yourself converted to any other religion or any other form of faith. What is actually prohibited in this country is, you cannot convert anybody on the basis of threat, undue influence, or some duress, yes, coercion. No, these are all prohibited. But if somebody looking at you and they wanted to follow the faith that you follow, comes and learns and becomes convinced, and that he wants to follow your path, yes, is certainly free to take that path. That is the beauty of Indian secularism, and this is also conceived in the preamble to the Constitution of India. Now I'll come to the preamble to the Constitution of India. This article is Article 25, where we have the freedom of conscience. That means you can believe or not to believe. And you can believe today in one and tomorrow in another one. It's your choice. There is freedom of conscience. And freedom of the religion for profession, practice, and propagation. This is Article 25. You will not find any such constitution in the whole world where you have such beautiful rights contemplated under the Constitution for people to become followers of a religion. Right. Now comes the four pillars on which, on five founders and stones of socialism, secularism, sovereignty, democracy, and republicanism. There are four pillars. First pillar is justice, and justice pillar has got three sub-pillars. It is socio-economic and political. That is social justice, economic justice, and political justice. Is something which I already touched when I said about socialism and democracy also, political governments also. Then comes the liberty. Liberty. Liberty is one of the main pillars of this constitution, and it has five sub-pillars. Five sub-pillars are liberty of thought, expression, faith, belief, and worship. So, as a citizen of this country, your right to liberty of faith, thought, expression, faith, belief, and worship. Of these five sub-pillars, three pertain to your religious beliefs, faith, belief, and worship, right? Belief can also be belief in no religion at all. That also is possible. But in any case, you are entitled to profess it, practice it, and propagate it. Total expression, I already told you, Article 198 is protected. Then comes equality, equality of status and opportunity. In this country, two rights are available to non-citizens also. That is life and equality. Equality and life and liberty, yes, Article 21. Article 14 speaks about equality, that everybody is equal before law and everybody is entitled to equal protection of the laws. That is equality. And life and liberty is under Article 21. Nobody can deprive you of, even if you are not a citizen also, your life and liberty cannot be deprived otherwise than in a procedure established by law. Then comes, so this constitution has secured to us all these foundational values, principles, and the last among the value is fraternity. Coming this fraternity, the constitution says assuring to all. So the constitution assures to all fraternity in the sense, it assures the dignity of the individual and the unity and the integrity of the nation. That is the beauty of this Indian constitution. So this human right of dignity is actually a constitutional value that is assured to the citizens. Yeah, assuring the dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. So your dignity, this is what probably you might have been reading in when these cases regarding privacy, on the cases regarding Sabarimala, etc. have been discussed by the Supreme Court. This is what was mostly discussed about the dignity of the human being, dignity of the citizen, and his right to privacy, right to liberty, right to be a free person, etc. So many things are discussed. And this constitutional morality principle also was discussed. So this constitution, in fact, assures the dignity of the individual and the unity and the integrity of the nation. So these are generally the constitutional framework on the human rights aspects. And you may remember the human rights generally are life, liberty, equality, and dignity of the person. And this Constitution of India not only respects, but it protects all these human rights by making them fundamental rights. You know the difference of a normal right and a fundamental right. The normal right, rather the constitutional statutory rights and fundamental rights, difference is in case your fundamental right is violated, or in case you are deprived of your fundamental right, you can go straight to the Supreme Court under Article 32 of the Constitution of India. There is no other country in the world where the Supreme Court can be approached by a citizen of the country for asking for a writ when your fundamental right is not respected by the state or violated by somebody else. That is why you go for this called writ, called habeas corpus, mandamus, certiorari, prohibition, quo warranto. These are the 5 writs which people go to the High Court or the Supreme Court. So a citizen of the country can, under Article 32, which is also a fundamental right, can go straight to the Supreme Court of India when your fundamental rights are denied to you or fundamental rights are not respected or violated. So that is the speciality about the fundamental rights. So India, we can all be proud of belonging to a great country where India respects the human rights of all citizens, and ICAF believes in respecting and protecting and promoting the human rights of everybody, making everybody a true human being, realizing that that person also has a right not to simply survive, but to live in this country as a free person, having all human rights, just as life, liberty, equality, justice, and dignity. That's why the dignity of the human being is a great concern of an IKFR, because Jesus Christ stood always for the dignity of the human being. He, in fact, identified himself with all those people who were sinners, tax collectors, and fishermen, who are, who are the least, the last and the lost in society. And then, made them all to come to the mainstream in society by making them big people. This is the integration of those small people, that what Jesus Christ did. This is the role that is entrusted to, and this is the call that is given to, and this is the mission that is entrusted to all equippers, to engage yourself, to involve yourself in building up a just society. So thank you so much. Now we have about 15 minutes or so. I will utilize it for some sort of interaction, because youngsters, as you are, you will have so many questions to ask, and we can have some time for interaction.
Excuse me, sir.
Good evening, all. I request the participants to post your questions in the comment box. YouTubers can, those who are watching the session on the YouTube, you can post your questions there on the YouTube. Before that, I request Hemant, a state national team member, to give a brief introduction about sir.
Oh, that's not required. We can utilize this time for, because I gave myself my background in ICAP. That's sufficient. Everybody knows, I am a former judge of the Supreme Court. So we can utilize this time for discussions, because people may not get this time. No? Yes. Don't worry. I'll give an introduction of myself. I've given my ICAP background and the professional background. I belong to the state of Kerala. I was the judge in Kerala, then acting chief justice there, then chief justice in Himachal, then came to Supreme Court in 2013 and retired in 2018. As in church, I was deeply involved in church activities. I was a member of the Political Council for Laity. I was the first vice president of the Catholic Council of India. I was the national president of a Little Flower Mission League. So many things. I participated in a couple of synods in Rome, along with the Saint John Paul II in two synods. I've been so fortunate, privileged, and privileged in being part of this society and part of the church also. This is my introduction. Don't worry. Somebody asked the question, what is the basic structure? The basic structure in the Constitution as such is not defined in the Constitution. But at the same time, I can just give you a small picture as to what the basic structure is. The Constitution of India gives power under Article 368 of the Constitution to amend the Constitution. So you can amend the Constitution. Being a democratic country, people should have that democratic freedom to amend the Constitution also. So we have more than 101 amendments so far in the Constitution. There is no country in the world which has gone for so many amendments in the Constitution also. So what happens if, suppose you have a building, suppose you are sitting in a building where you have, there is a hall which is built on 12 pillars. All 12 pillars are equally important. Suppose one pillar is removed in the process of maintenance of that building. What happens? Then the building cannot anymore stand, because every 12 pillar, or rather all 12 pillars are equally important for that superstructure. So this whole superstructure is actually supported by all 12 pillars equally. And if one pillar is removed for the purpose of maintenance, then the building will slowly slag, and then finally it will collapse. So that pillar forms a basic structure. So there are certain such basic structures in the Constitution. One basic structure. One basic structure is, I can read it. One basic structure is secularism. The other basic structure is rule of law. The other basic structure is democracy. The other basic structure is independent judiciary. So there are several such basic structures which have been evolved by the Supreme Court of India. It's not by the Parliament. It's not by the constitution makers. It is not by any political party. All these concepts have been evolved by the Supreme Court of India, because Supreme Court of India is the guardian of the Constitution. So what is the role of the guardian? Guardian protects the wards. Guardian promotes the interests of the wards, irrespective of the character and conduct of the ward. Guardian has to have an eternal vigilance on the protection and promotion of their wards. So, as a guardian of the Constitution, that's why I told you, India is a country where we have 22 scheduled languages, all the world-known religions, 844 dialects. The cultures vary from state to state. There are several civilizations also. What you call topography varies, climate varies, the lifestyle varies, practices vary, food habits vary. Even take your state of Karnataka. The type of food that you take in Bangalore is not the type that you take in Mangalore. I've traveled to various parts in Karnataka. The whole lifestyle is different, food habits are different. But with all these diversities, India is India only because of this constitution, because it has knit together by giving space for all diversity, by securing the interests of everybody, irrespective of language, creed, culture, language, sex, region, as at a great country. That is the beauty of the constitution. Therefore, this constitution, or rather this nation, is built on a few basic structures, some of which have been evolved in the process of the constitutional interpretation, the secularism, independence of judiciary, rule of law, democracy. All these are some of the basic structures which have evolved in the process of constitutional interpretation by the Supreme Court of India. So this is what is called basic structure. Your sub-question is secularism. There is a threat to secularism. Is a loop in the constitution for a dictator to take? No, there is no loophole. That's only loophole is a declaration of emergency. But even this emergency also, that is subject to, after our original democratic emergency experience of 1975, now there is hardly any chance for such a what they call emergency, because we have a vigilant. So long as there is a vigilant court, I call it a watchdog. What does the watchdog do? What does it do? It barks. When does it bark? It barks when there is a threat. When there is a threat to its owner, its custodian. When there is a threat. So this watchdog keeps on barking, saying that things are not in order. That's it. The role of the court is judicial review of administrative action and inaction. So when the governments do not act in accordance with the constitution, or when the governments fail to do something in accordance with the constitution, the court steps in and imposes its directive and compels the government to act in accordance with the constitution. This is the role of the Supreme Court of India, which is the guardian of the constitution, and the respective high court in every state, because India is a federal. India follows a federal system, because this is constituted by several states. How many states we have now? You're on mute. Yeah, we have 29. Jammu is gone. We have 28 states, and we have now 8 union territories, and we have 25 high courts and 1 Supreme Court, which is in Delhi. That is it. That is the beauty of Indian constitution, and that is the basic structure. Therefore, secularism, which has been held to be a basic structure, cannot be amended by the Parliament. It has been so held by the Supreme Court of India in a 13-member strength judgment in Keshavananda Bharati. Yes. I'm not able to read your questions. It comes and goes. If you can just...
I will read it for you, sir. The second question is about transgenders. The person is asking, why are they being ignored? The human rights are not being granted to the third gender. Why is it? Why is they ignored?
Yeah, who said they are not? Who said they are ignored? Not transgender. There's a judgment of the Supreme Court in a petition filed by the National Legal Service Authority, where their rights have been identified. Therefore, they have their human rights and their right to equality, their right to justice, their right to what they call liberty. All these are protected now. And you are free not even to mention your gender now, because Indian Constitution believes that irrespective of caste, color, creed, sex, language, sex means gender, language, you're all equal. So if you are a man or woman or a transgender, makes no difference. You have equal right to participate in building up the country.
Yes, sir. Now, this under the Constitution of the Supreme Court.
Let me complete that question. But all said and done, there is a social stigma cast on them. That will go only slowly because they have to come up in society. In fact, I went for the release of a film based on a life story of a sub-inspector of a police in Tamil Nadu. She is a transgender. So people are coming up, slowly coming up. They have a stigma cast on them by the society. That has to go. So they have to come up by giving them education, bringing them to mainstream of the society. That's where ICAP, etc. has a great role to play. Yeah. Yes.
Under the Supreme Court and the Constitution has the power to increase the number of seats, but still it has not, still it has not done. At the same time, the number of cases, pending cases, are increasing. Is there a way that Supreme Court,
This is like a Malthusian theory of population. Say, actually, by increasing the judge strength alone, you will not find a solution for management of the cases. You'll have to find alternate methods also, like mediation, like arbitration, like conciliation, like log adalat, to help people to get out of the court. So the number of courts, yes, that's a huge factor, no doubt about it. For your information, the national budget, the allocation of the GDP allocation for the judiciary is only 1% of the national budget. That is the whole problem. So the infrastructure, we have only a judge for even a lakh of people. That is also a trouble. Whereas in many countries in the world, have a judge for 10,000 people. So you're right, my dear friend, that it is not the Supreme Court which has the power. This number of courts is actually a legislative power to be exercised by the Parliament. The Supreme Court can only recommend, only request. But the ultimate decision is to be taken by amending the statute, by increasing the judge strength. Even as far as Supreme Court is concerned, it requires an amendment to the Constitution also. Judge strength has to be amended in the sense, it was originally considered to be 7. Now the strength has gone up to 34 in Supreme Court and various high courts there. But the vacancy position in the high courts, despite the fact that the judge strength has been fixed, but there is a vacancy of almost 1/3 in several high courts. So that's also an exercise to be completed. So increasing the judge strength is not the power with the Supreme Court. It's actually a legislative power to be exercised by the Parliament.
Yes, sir. This is a question about the Dalits and Adivasis. Now we have the Supreme Court and judicial system, but still the proper, human rights are not being, followed for the Dalits and Adivasis. Is there a solution for that, or some kind of remedy or something?
Yeah, in the case of Dalits and Adivasis, we have several constitutional measures for protecting their interests. But unfortunately, I told there are three curses for this country. One is casteism, there is communalism, third is corruption. On account of these three factors playing a dominant role in the country, the actual benefits are not reaching to those Dalits or the Adivasis. So I don't know, this is something very terrible. That is where the role of civil society movements are very important. And ICAF, for your information, is one such a civil society movement. You have a call to work among those people for the protection of their dignity and for securing them the constitutional rights and making them true human beings as Jesus did.
Yes, sir. Now this question is about Environment Impact Assessment 2020 draft. Now, is this draft is violating the human rights and the Constitution?
Now, so long as it is a draft, is set to be finalized. If there are defects, I have not done an in-depth study into that draft, that's why I'm saying it. But so long as it remains a draft, you have every right to point out the deficiencies or defects or particular violations or perceived violations in the draft and bring the same to the notice of the Parliament subcommittee before it becomes a final declaration.
Okay, sir. This is a question of one of the ICAFA here. The present government is violating the Article 14, the right to equality to all the person. As in that issue, what stand that the present Supreme Court panel have been doing? What is your thoughts about that article, CAB and CAA?
See, Article 14 is one of the grounds taken by every petition or public interest litigation that is filed in Supreme Court, that the right to equality is violated. But simply saying Article 14 is violated by government, we can't find out a specific issue. If there is a specific issue, you'll have to specifically address it. You cannot generally say, this government is. All governments, have a tendency to violate the Article 14. And only if you have a vigilant media, first an independent court, two, a vigilant media, and third, a committed, civil society movements. Civil society movements. Of these three factors are there in this country, then, only then there will be a proper protection of the rights of everybody, be it in equality, be it in liberty, be it in justice or whatnot. Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. How does a common man change the system when the only tool is being electing the rulers in this country? And for that to be worked on, one needs huge monetary resources. Is there a solution to safeguard our country and constitution?
Yes, believe in this principle called I can make a change. You can make a change. I can proudly say I have made my bit in making a change in the court where I worked, whichever court. So you can make a change in the college you work. You can make a change in the village you live. You can make a change in the institution we are going to. You can make a change by electing a proper person. You can make a change in society by forming new ideas. You can make in the society by helping those people who are committed to what they call the core gospel and what they call constitutional values. You can make a change in society by involving yourself in such nation building, freeing yourself from casteism, communalism, and corruption, and by being a clean person and a clear person of clear mind and clean conscience. You can make a change. You can bring about a change in the environment that you live. You can make a change in protecting the environment. You can make a change in protecting the public property. You can make a change in exercise of your fundamental duties. You can make a change in helping others to exercise, to realize their fundamental duties and getting themselves involved in the building of a nation. So building nation is a very generic phraseology. But the small areas where I said you can make a change, because one man can make it. One man is man, woman can make a change. Believe in the principle. You will see wonders in your panchayat, in your village, in your college, in your own home, in your neighborhood, in your organization, in the place where you work. Yes, wherever it is.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So what is your opinion on the role of independence of judiciary in India in the present time, with the specific reference to the theory of separation of powers?
Yeah, what is this is a mixed question. First of all, I'll tell you, separation of powers is a concept actually recognized by the Constitution of India, though it is not specifically said it is separate in all its aspects, but it is governed on the principle of checks and balances. But all said and done, there is an article in the Constitution as far as judiciary is concerned, that is Article 50, which is said to be the soul of the Constitution, where it says, the state shall take steps to separate judiciary from the executive. So there shall be an independent judiciary. Only then you will be in a position to say that the king is naked. If there is a committed judiciary, you will not be in a position to say the king is naked. The king is naked is a generic expression in the sense, when the ruler goes constitutionally wrong, you must say on the face of the ruler that you are constitutionally wrong. When the ruler makes a wrong law, you will have to say that the law that you made is not constitutional. For this, you need an unbiased, independent judiciary and a judge who is committed only to the Constitution, where he will uphold the Constitution, not his philosophy, not his ideology, not his politics, not his favored leader. These are the four aspects of committed judiciary. But a judge, once appointed, he becomes a truly independent person, committed only to the Constitution of India. And because he takes oath, he takes a constitutional oath. The judges of the High Court and Supreme Court take a constitutional oath, and that oath is as per the schedule 3 in the Constitution, where judge alone says he will uphold the Constitution. Not even the President of India. President of India only says, defend and protect the Constitution. Whereas the judge of the Superior Court means High Court and Supreme Court, they have to uphold the Constitution. Therefore, the existence of a constitutional system of government, or rather constitutionalism, is in the hands of independence judiciary. That is why independence judiciary is a basic structure. That is why even me, as part of that bench which struck down the National Judicial Appointment Commission, where in the matter of appointment, external forces were sought to be inducted by forming a new called commission, where you have the law minister and 2 eminent people. We said that is an intrusion in the independence judiciary. Indian democracy has not matured itself to reach that stage where the judges can be appointed by different people. So far as India now is concerned, independence is perceived to be secured only by the court itself. That's why the collegium system of appointment continues, so as to maintain its independence. But how far that has succeeded in the days which are passing through is a question now for introspection.
Thank you, sir. Participant, we will be taking 3 more questions.
Why is the right to vote is not a fundamental right, especially with regard to those in prison? What is your view on prisoners not being able to demand their right to vote?
Say, right to vote is not a fundamental right, it's a statutory right. It's a right conferred by the Representation of People's Act. So every statutory right can be regulated. It's not even a fundamental duty for your information. Though I have a position that right to vote should be made a fundamental duty. So any statutory right can be regulated. Just as when I said, the practice, in fact, I omitted, I forgot to mention that, in the matter of all your rights, fundamental rights, they are subject to reasonable restrictions. I said about the religion. That's where you did not ask that question. I would have got a chance, where in the Sabrimala issue also, where this right to free profession, practice and propagation of your religion is subject to 4 restrictions. One, public order, health, morality, and other parts of the fundamental rights. So reasonable restrictions have always been introduced on constitutional fundamental rights also, but the statutory rights, because statutory right means a right conferred by a statute. So right to vote is a right conferred by the representation of people. It can be regulated.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Today's world, people get influenced by the propaganda. In today's age, when a lot of differences are created by propaganda, how can people retain the constitutional values?
Yeah, say particularly in the period of lockdown also, it is all social media. Even otherwise also it is social media. If you have such groups, specifically appointed and engaged in this sort of propaganda, the eternal vigilance of a citizen alone is the answer to the question you asked. Eternal vigilance.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
So you have been a judge for the Supreme Court, and where do you want to see? What's your vision?
Maybe after 5 years, where do you want to see the Indian judiciary to be? How do you want to see the judiciary to be?
After 5 years, judiciary?
Maybe after 5 years, after say 10 years, because the court cases are pending. There are many cases are pending.
Yeah. This I referred to earlier also. The way the courts are going now, according to me, this lockdown, the inflow has been restricted. People are not filed so many cases now. So the virtual courts would be one solution for clearing the pending cases. And of course, the people, litigants and the lawyers should take recourse to alternate methods of resolution of disputes like mediation, arbitration, conciliation. These are the things which I do now in Delhi, and the Log Adalat, etc. So that people can settle the disputes outside court.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Now I request Vasundhara Kashyap to propose the vote of thanks.
So am I audible?
Yeah.
You're audible.
Yeah, okay. Good evening. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. I, Vasundhara, on behalf of ICAF State Committee, would like to thank our today's resource person, Justice Kurian Joseph sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights and sparing your time for us from your busy schedule. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us. It was indeed a privilege to have you as our today's resource person for this webinar. I would also like to thank our ICAF State Advisor, Father Joel Fernandez, for your immense support in conducting this webinar. I would also like to thank our State Animator, Mr. Joswin, for your ever-ready support and guidance. Last but not the least, I would also like to thank our participants for your active participation. I'm sure that this webinar will be beneficial to each and every participant. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasundhara. So many questions have come up, but I'll just end up with one request to all of you. We are all youngsters, So when things go wrong in society, raise your voice. The moment you choose to be silent, these wrongs continue to grow. The only way to arrest things going wrong is by raising a voice. There was a question how to prevent corruption. By one, take a decision in your life that you will not be a corrupt person. 2, you will not tolerate corruption. 3, you will raise your voice against corruption. Now, you will see, raise your voice means, it's not, there are ways and means, your collective voice is more important. So collect your voices, because you will not be able to fight like this. You need to collect yourself. And 4, at least you people, try to think about in India, above the religion, the caste, the community, the language, the gender. We all say, no, India is my country. All Indians are my brothers and sisters. Vasundhara, can you walk in the roads of Bangalore by at 11 o'clock in the night alone?
No, sir.
Why? You are my sister. We believe in a country. We live in a country where you are our sister. Will somebody attack a sister? So this is where we need to develop a new society. Even in Nirbhaya cases also I spoke this. My policy is my principle is, my approach is very clear. We need to create a new society where women are not seen as objects of consumption. Now, whole trouble with this country is, for anything and everything, this woman in his half naked, full naked, whatever it is, they are all projected. Even for the advertisement of the undergarments of men, it is your what you call semi-nude picture that is shown. So you are actually exploited. Your dignity is exploited. So there was one challenge I used to put to people when you see this sort of what you call the display of your dignity or exploitation of your dignity for the sake of projecting you as objects of consumption. This boy can walk, this Hemant can walk, but not Vasundhara. Why? He's a man. This is a girl. Why? Reason is, irrespective of gender, we are not able to see everybody as the same. Gender, what difference does the gender make? Is the women in our country are not fully human? They are fully human, but they are not equal. Why? They are women. Why they are women? So what? They have every right. So when things go wrong, affecting your dignity also. In films, in newspapers, there are several such newspapers in which contain one page dedicated for such advertisements, projecting women as objects of consumption. That is one reason for the harassment that you meet out. I'm not saying there are not other factors. This is one reason, because we don't have that concept of equality and equal dignity of our women in society. So when you find things going wrong, affecting your dignity, raise your voice. It can make a change. It can make a change, at least in your college, at least in your panchayat, at least in your what, at least in your organization, where you will not use any such things. You will not subscribe to such magazines. You will not read such things. You will not tolerate such films. You will raise your voice against such advertisements. All these are, I'm saying, small things. You can make a change. So believe in that principle and try to see everybody. Let this curse of casteism and communalism and this gender inequality go from our mind. Let us not see somebody as an object of consumption. Let us see somebody as a person with equal dignity. If this mindset is changed, we will have a better India. We will have a real India, which our constitution makers believed. And this is actually the kingdom of, this is actually the building of kingdom of. All the best. God bless you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Participant, the feedback link has been posted in the comment box. Kindly fill the feedback link.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.